Welcome to Biblio Bistro. My name is Megan Jazak, and I am a community health educator and registered dietitian with the Portage Health Foundation. This is my trusty sidekick, Michael Stenitis. We are keeping our space today, but we are still as close as ever.
It's true. It's true. We can do that.
We can do
We're
that.
gloved. So welcome everybody to another episode of Biblio Bistro, as Megan said. And we're going to try to give you another exciting recipe that you can go shop at the farmers markets and go home and whip up something simple, nutritious, tasty. What else?
I think you nailed it. Biblio Bistro is something that we're hoping, any cooking level can jump in. And Michael, I think you're going to do a great job, especially with your history as a chef, showing how to break every step down so that even things such as these lovely beet greens are going to be easy to cook at home.
And you're going to tell everybody how good the beet greens are.
I am?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
okay.
your job.
I'll do that.
Okay, should we get rolling?
Yeah.
Where does everybody find the recipe and all of that stuff?
So if you go to pldl.org/biblio-bistro, or you can just go and click the show notes, that's going to plug you into the recipe, the shopping list, and the previous episodes that we've done as well.
Oh, that's right. We
Yes.
We do have a few out there now.
We sure do.
Awesome. Okay, so today we're going to make a warm beet salad, and we needed to save on a little time, so we did roast the beets up. I'm going to tell you about that, but I need to do another little time thing here. I'm going to get our almonds toasting in the pan. You can do this a couple different ways. You can do it in the oven and set the timer so you don't burn your almonds, or you can have your trusty sidekick remind you not to burn them when you're doing it in the skillet.
Right.
I'm going to go with the latter plan. I have the skillet pretty high, just because this one takes a little bit to get going. So we'll keep an eye on that and let them brown up a little bit. And in the meantime, I'll tell you what I did with the beets. We got these at the Houghton Farmers Market, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And they were from the...
These ones were actually from North Harvest.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yep.
Yep. So what I did was I peeled the beets, and then I tossed them in some olive oil, a little salt and pepper, and I put them on a cookie sheet, and I roasted them at 350 for about 15-20 minutes. I don't like to make them super soft, so I let them have a little bite in them. So this is something you could definitely do ahead of time. If you know you want to have this the next night for dinner or something, that's one step that you could take out of your way, like get the beets done ahead of time. But just for the show's sake, I got those done a little bit ahead of time. So we got that going, and we'll toast the almonds up. Those are the things that take the time with this recipe, is the roasting and the toasting.
The roasting and the toasting. I love that. So with the beets, would you say it takes, I know for me, sometimes I kind of get stained on my hands. Do you have any suggestions for people?
Oh boy.
I know, I'm putting you on the spot. Wear gloves.
Gloves will cover everything. I'm that person. I just get purple fingers. I don't really think it's the same way with squash, like winter squash. I have orange fingers. I don't really do anything, but it does seem to come off, when, if you wash it reasonably quick, it comes off. But I suppose if you didn't want to go to work with purple fingers, see, at the library, you can get away with that because it's the library. But I suppose if you go to the office with purple fingers, people might be like,
Well, I most of the time I'm able to scrub it off, so it's okay. I was just curious if you had any insider tips.
I don't.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to take the stems off, and we're going to cook these up a little bit separately. Aren't we? I think we are.
The stalks, in the recipe, I think it leaves them out, but you can cook them.
You could.
They're edible.
They're
just a little tougher to chew.
Yeah.
So.
If you wanted a little extra bang for your buck and you wanted to do the stems, you would just cook them up ahead of time, kind of like you're doing with any other recipe that the vegetables have different firmnesses,
Mm-hmm.
So, but I am going to take them off for this recipe, and it's not in the recipe to have a little fresh dill, but it looks so beautiful at the farmer's market, so I'm going to throw a little bit of that in at the end too. Ooh, you were supposed to remind me. I can smell them.
They look beautiful. They're just a little.
They're coming along nice, and then I'll put them back in the bowl when we're done. So the recipe that I'm following wants me to do the green beans up into different sizes, nice little bite sizes. So you could, I like to just be efficient here with as many. I just like, if you get everything up in a bundle like that, you can take one swipe through it one way and then one or two the other, and you're done. It doesn't have to take the whole night to get this all done. So down one way, turn it, or you could turn yourself, I suppose. That's another way of doing it. So we've got that all ready to go.
What I think is nice about this recipe too, Michael, is that, not everyone might be familiar that you can use the greens as well as the root, the red beet that everyone kind of associates when you hear the word beet.
Yeah.
And especially the farmer's market, sometimes when you go to the store, they kind of pluck out those greens already. Farmers markets, typically they'll have the beet greens on, so you can really use the whole vegetable, which I think is really cool. Any way we can reduce that food waste. So.
Yeah, I think color, the other thing with it too is I had to give this quite a good washing, a couple rinses. You know, it's really hard to get not have some grit and some dirt on them. So that might be the other reason. If you didn't have time for all of that, then that maybe might make another reason why you would just.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, you washed those a couple different times and you had to really kind of rinse it out. You
can see the sand. I think beets do better in sand because that seems to be the common theme with them, because they always have a little bit of grit. I'm going to do up the garlic here while the so much for my timer. No, it's good. They look great. It's coming along. So we've got chopped up garlic. We're going to saute that up after. The other great thing about this is the one pan thing. You can do it in one pan. You don't have to dirty everything in the kitchen. The beets, I'm not sure that I mentioned that, but the beets go really nicely if you do them in a little foil pouch. They kind of steam and roast at the same time. And then you can just rinse the foil off and recycle it, however you're going to recycle it. You know, that's a nice way to do them. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any foil, so I just did it on a cookie sheet. That'll work too. It's a pretty forgiving way to do it.
And you can pan roast beets, but probably would take a little bit longer because those are kind of tough vegetables. I'm not speaking from experience or anything.
Really?
No, I am.
I thought you tried
experience. I did. Yeah, it was a joke. I had a really bad beet recipe last night where I smoked up the entire house. So you can cook them as well, just sautéing, but they're kind of hard vegetables, so it takes a lot of liquid for them to really absorb, and so it's easy to think that they're doing okay and leave for a moment, which I tend to do, and all of a sudden they're not okay. So oven is a nice way to go, especially like Michael mentioned with the foil pouch, because it helps preserve some of that natural moisture.
Yeah, it's a little more forgiving. Yeah, that is have you done it that way before and it's worked out?
In the foil pouch?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, not the the pan. Yeah.
No, I've never tried it on the pan. I just didn't want to turn the oven on
because it was so hot.
It was not a good plan. Maybe you guys will have better luck than I did, but
okay. Well, so far so good, I guess. So we got a little oil, and we'll throw the garlic in there. We'll get that going, and ta-da! Oh yeah, it's sizzling right out of the gate. That's always good. That's always good. So we'll let that go a little bit. Everything will be nice and garlicky.
Usually we do the garlic first too, so raw garlic can be a bit much of a flavor. It can be kind of pungent, so to speak, or strong. So letting it cook for a little bit, I imagine, helps with the flavor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You want to just cook the garlic. You don't want to burn the garlic because then it gets bitter. Mm-hmm. You just want to do it till it's like changes color a little bit, a little golden. Color is always good. And then after that, we're going to throw the chopped leaves in, and we're just going to cook them, maybe 5-6 minutes, just to sort of like get them all garlicky and get them cooked down a little bit.
Beet greens, I don't know how you would describe the flavor. If you guys have ever had beets, it has kind of a slight taste of the beet in it. It's a little earthier, but it's still I would call it a relatively mild green. It's not something like kale or cabbage that's got kind of a bit more of an upfront flavor. It's still pretty mild, especially if you cook it.
Right.
But you could use that raw in salads or even like in a pesto or something like that if you're looking for other ways to use your beet greens as well. Just like Michael mentioned, you want to make sure you rinse them really, really well.
And I'm going to throw a little salt to taste in here.
So what does it mean when a recipe says to taste, Michael?
To your taste. That's how I hear it.
Okay.
But you know, everybody's taste is different. So I kind of suggest you just start off with nothing, throw a little bit in, and you know, in a different time and place, or like in my own kitchen where I can just stick a fork in and go for it. I just kind of taste as I'm going along, but I have a pretty good idea that'll work. But that's really it. You know, make it work for you. If you like a little less salt, do a little less.
Yeah, and something I just noticed that you did, which I do at home too, is that you start with it in your hand, and then that way you can kind of pinch your own in. Sometimes if you're a little bit zealous with the salt, it might kind of pour out all at once and you end up with more than you expected. So if you start with your hand, even if it pours out more than you want, you can still kind of pick how much you put into the recipe.
You can recover. I have a cookbook at home, and I love it. I don't thankfully have to use it that often. It's an old cookbook, but it teaches you how to fix cooking mistakes if you add too much salt. So like one of the things I can remember about adding too much salt is you can add potatoes to something to suck up some of the salt, you know. So, but better to just kind of solve that for yourself on the front end and just go conservatively until you're there. If I had my pepper grinder here, I'm a pepper hound, I'd be throwing a little pepper in here too, but it's looking really good. So that's kind of what you're going for. You're looking for something wilted. I'm not going to cook them like super long. I just want it to wilt them a little bit, and I'm calling that good. How does it look to you?
It looks beautiful.
It smells good, hey?
Yeah, it smells quite delicious. And beets, the greens and the actual root themselves are actually really nutritious for us as well. Something that's really unique about beets is that they have what's called nitrate. It's a certain plant compound that has actually been linked to heart health. And actually, they've done research with athletes as well, where it actually helps with athletic performance. So I think it improved, if I'm remembering the study correctly, which I could be wrong on the specifics, but I believe it improved oxygen uptake by 20%. So it's got some powerful little compounds in there to keep us feeling good and breathing well. And that heart health is super important. So it's really nutritious. It also has magnesium in it that can help with our heart as well as muscle contractions.
That's a good one. So could I become an athlete just by eating beets?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. We should study it. Let's talk after.
Okay, we're there in this part. Now, if beet greens, if you didn't have time for all of this and beet greens weren't your favorite thing, we also picked up a really nice bag of greens, lettuce greens from the farmer's market. So you could do this recipe with just using some fresh salad greens. I do that a lot too. Like I'll roast up a big pan of beets because I could eat them every day. Maybe almost every day, but and then I can just have a salad with them too. I'm pretty happy with that. But we're gonna go with the recipe as is, and I'm gonna set you up. I'll do us up both one here, and we can.
So what's nice about this recipe too is that, you know, we've got some of the softer textures from the roasted beets, and then the wilted beet greens, and then the toasted almonds that you made are gonna get a little bit of that crunch. Almonds also are a great source of vitamin E, so we're getting a little bit more variety of the vitamins that we're getting in the dish. That's super great for our immune function and for skin health. So those are two big keys with those almonds. Oh, yeah. So if you're looking, you want to get your skin nice and fresh, go for those vitamin E.
Nice. I'm going to warm these up a little bit. Since I did them a little while ago and the pan's already hot, I'm just going to throw them in there. Since it is a warm beet salad, and I'm a big fan of only using one pan if I can get away with it. So we'll just give those a moment to warm up too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is a recipe too that you could serve cold, and I think it would be really delicious too.
Sure.
So I think it's versatile that way, though warm sounds extra nice right now.
It sure does, doesn't it? Okay, so far does this look right to you? Am I following the recipe?
I think so. There's just the almonds left.
Nice.
And then
the
there is goat cheese
Goat
as well.
cheese.
So I actually can't eat dairy, so I will abstain from that. But Michael can add some nice tangy goat cheese. It's nice and creamy and tangy, so it kind of rounds out the sweetness from the beets.
And it'll give me a little flashback experience because remember I was a goat cheese maker.
Exactly.
So
comes full circle.
Yeah, I'm a little fussy. Now the unfortunate thing is now I'm kind of fussy and picky when it comes to other goat cheeses, but I saw you got this from the co-op and I like the brand, so I'm on. May I have a fork from over there?
For those that have dairy issues or that just don't like the taste of goat cheese, you could easily just omit that or leave that out of the recipe. I think that it adds a little bit of like a creamy, tangy flavor to this dish. And so even just adding a little bit of vinegar to kind of elevate it a little bit and give a little bit of that kick.
Do you want a little on yours?
Vinegar?
Yeah.
Sure.
I can do that. May I have a paper towel, please?
Yes.
Well, then your wish is my desire. Here you go. I'll just give you a little splash on there. How's that?
Awesome.
And I'm going to throw that dill on top. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as we have it, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Da,
Yeah.
da, da, da.
There are lots of vegan cheese options too. So if people really wanted to have kind of that full rounded recipe, you can find that various stores too. And I think that those have come a long way. So
do you have any favorites, like as far as vegan cheese goes? Because I can't quite, I'll be honest, being a cheesemaker, you know, I can't quite put my brain around it, how they come together.
There's a newer brand, I don't remember the name of it, but it uses oat milk and garbanzo or chickpeas.
Ooh.
And that one, I had a cheddar for that, and it was really good.
That sounds like mad science.
Mm-hmm.
I would never think to put those things
together.
So.
It was really good.
Okay, we've got the beets in there. We've got the almonds. I've got the cheese. We've got dill. Like I said, you could do this on a bed of salad greens as well. I think that's it. Should we try it?
We're set. Yeah, let's try it.
You have a fork and I have a fork.
Mm-hmm.
Ta-da! After you.
Thank you.
I'm pretty excited about this. Like I said, I could eat beets every day.
Absolutely. I love the colors. It's almost like you could cook this around Christmas time with like the colors. It could be like a Christmassy red and green.
It's super yummy. And a little mouthful and I can still talk.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Oh, that's good. That's
I really like
nice.
the crunch from the almonds. I think that's a nice touch.
That's good, hey?
That was very good.
Thanks for joining us, folks. I think it'd be really fun if anybody tries the recipe to post some pictures online. How do they do that again?
You can use hashtag Biblio Bistro on any of your favorite social media accounts, and we will be able to see it. So if you do want to cook along with us, we'd love to see what you made. And until next time,
Bon appetit.
bon appetit.
Thanks.